Here's what not to do when working with a uh, uh, a computer without a graphics card. This is a cheap i7 computer at church, and I went in and live streaming, and it was working perfectly. But then I decided I wanted to do something different. Of course, with vMix, you can do that even while it's live streaming, and I was changing some stuff up. And the computer went to the blue screen of death with some kind of weird um, system something. I don't know, but it just messed my live stream up. And what I found out was don't try playing around with something while you're live streaming.
Yes, that is
Let
true.
it run. If it works, don't fix it. And so I learned my lesson that way.
Yeah, I've had that issue before as well. I think that you have the latest version of vMix. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so I had that happening at the TV studio. I have a nice i7. I think it's the what the 7700 or whatever it is. Last year's model. And
Yeah.
dude, I've got a what an $1,800 broadcast level. I mean, like seriously, level H.264 encoder for like streaming to a satellite transmitter. I mean, it's that kind of a deal. Um, and for me, since I'm not doing that, it's just a really good H.264 encoder, so that my CPU usage is like 1% when I'm doing a show, or 2%, which is awesome. But anyway, I
Yeah.
digress. But I have Windows 10 on that system, and I got, I don't know, 24 or 32 gigs of RAM, and it's doing great. And all of a sudden, it would blue screen on me, and it was for the weirdest things. It was like, I use virtual shots. So I'll set up a virtual input for a single, wide or a medium wide shot, and then I'll, with the virtual inputs. For those of you who don't know vMix, with the virtual input, you're able to um, take the basically you have like four panes, and you can zoom and crop and slide and basically make four different shots out of the one camera shot. So I usually do like just the regular shot, the way I set it up, and then I do one that's in a little tighter, and then I do one that's in a little tighter. And so I had I had started a 20-second or a 15-second zoom from, like, say, the medium to the tighter shot, and then I hit a fast fade to go from one camera to the next, and then it blue screen. And I was like, what the heck happened? And at some point, I was, I would reboot the machine, start it all over again. Sorry, guys. Thank you for coming in and being on time and doing all this. But I'm going to have to start this whole thing all over again. So let's start our conversation over again. And very embarrassing. But then it wouldn't happen for, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then randomly would do it again. I'd be editing somebody's title. Oops, I spelled their name wrong. Let me fix that real quick before I turn it back on. That kind of a thing. And blurp, it does it again. And then I didn't have a problem. I did an update, and I didn't have a problem for 2 months. And then 1 week, man, I'm telling you, it was after every recording. I would, because our show, we do our show in segments. So we do 4 segments. So, okay, I start the recording, give them a countdown, and then the music starts, and we do the thing. When it's all said and done, I hit the stop. Meanwhile, I keep streaming the entire time. I actually stream not to the television show's Facebook page, but to one of my private hidden pages. And I use that as a backup for if the whole thing crashes, I can always go pick up that first half of the show, from the stream. So I don't ever stop the stream, stop the recording, and then I go to start the recording again, blurp, and I realized at some point that over that, I guess it was that previous week, because this started happening on a Monday. And dude, I Forrest Gump my way through that episode. And the next day we were doing a double, and I was like, dude, holy crap. So I did an update. I did Windows updates. I did a whole bunch of stuff, and okay, this is going to be good. And then the next day it was faulting, And I was like, do I have bad memory? What is going on? So it ruined 2 episodes. So what had happened, I think Monday morning, they said the electricity in the building had gone off and my machine was on, and it was in standby mode or something. Anyway, when the power was cut, it was cut completely. The residual electricity that just kind of holds it there in sleep mode or whatever, boom, that was out. It booted up, then the electricity went out again, right in the middle of that thing. Windows had gotten corrupted. So I ended up having to completely rebuild that machine, and then I didn't have any problems whatsoever, haven't had any problems. So I'm wondering, could possibly for you, electricity cycled or a lightning strike or something that caused a brownout and caused the machine to kind of spontaneously reboot or something, and maybe that's what caused it. So look at that. If you have like a system restore point from I don't know, 2 weeks ago, when everything was running real smooth, try restoring back to that and see how things run for a bit. Would you say that's pretty good as far as Windows goes, Justin?
I concur.
Very good, man. A few words. I love it.
Well, I will check that out, but I think that my problem was the computer with just not able to keep up with what I was doing with vMix, because that's the only problem I've had. I went in that day, that afternoon, and live streamed to my Facebook page with the words test all over it for 2 hours. And during that time, I hit record, and then also hit stream to YouTube, and it worked perfect. So I think what it was me messing with I have no GPU card in that thing. It's all in the motherboard, and I think it just overrun it. But that may have been part of my problems before when it was doing that. And it was coming up with, I can't remember now, something over and under and all of that. Neil, did you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, one of the things I remember, we had some real problems here in 2015 with the floods. And one of the things I went out and did was to buy just like $50 UPSs for every one of our servers. Just that 5 minutes of blinking power, it saved like 5 shutdowns. So if you can get, even if it's a small one that gives you 5 or 6 minutes, typically when you lose power, you either lose it for a while, or it's that blinky type that comes up and down. If you can have that little protection for 30 seconds or balancing out the brownout for 30 seconds, it can save a lot of money and headache.
Yeah,
you got a good point. Very good point.